Hey guys, welcome back. Recently I've seen quite a lot of talk about how supposedly the Flood weren't fun to fight, which is complete news to me, but in light of that I thought I'd make a video discussing some ideas that I've had for a while now for 343 to eventually use to make the Flood more fun to fight overall. Now, like I said, I'm doing this video in hopes that someday, when 343 add the Flood back to Halo, whether that's in Halo 6 or Halo 7 or Halo 75, they will find this video and they'll take some of these ideas into account. So if you loved or hated fighting the Flood, then this video is for you. So one of the first improvements that I have wanted forever now, that was sort of there in Combat Evolved, but never really since, is for the Flood to operate under Horde mentality. They did this fantastically, as I've already explained on the library, and there was a little taste of it on Guilty Spark, but that's really all we've had. When I say Horde mentality, I'm talking about combat forms and infection forms specifically, to make their quite mundane two-dimensional gameplay more dynamic. Having them surround you from all angles, in front, behind, to the side, above and below you, blocking you in corners, funneling you down alleyways, and trapping you between them in massive numbers, would make their gameplay so dynamic and rewarding, because every time they find a way to trap you and you manage to escape, you know that you just used your own ingenuity to escape an epic situational moment that wasn't scripted or forced or a part of a QuickTime event in any way. You get that feeling of satisfaction that you just use your own skills and independence to free yourself from a terrifying near-death experience. Having massive amounts of what is technically cannon fodder swarming you would really reinstate the Flood's zombie-esque gameplay genesis that Bungie devised in Combat Evolved that, like I said, sadly seemed to disappear over the years. Okay, so right now you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds really cool and all, but very, very difficult to fight. Well, the way they could balance this out really nicely would be to make these forms really weak, and I'm talking super weak. I mean, the infection forms kind of already are, but make the combat forms' limbs fall off really easily, and sort of crumble like they did in Halo 3, from the shockwave of a frag grenade, or even like 5 rounds of an assault rifle. Considering that they are made mostly of rotting, infested flesh, it really only seems right that they'd be kind of flimsy. I really want 343 to take the Flood back to their zombie origins, and Horde mentality and sort of weak, flaky enemies is the perfect way to do that. A key part of making this space zombie experience is the horror aspect. Now again, this is another aspect of the Flood that is really only apparent in a few specific areas of previous games. It was done best in Halo 2 in my opinion. Sacred Icon and High Charity had areas that were not only dark, but had that quite typical horror fog that was in fact Flood spores, mixed with Flood-coloured fog in the air that made this really dark and spooky, grungy atmosphere. This is another feature that 343 need to take and exacerbate, and it's not just good for adding a base layer of horror, it could really be incorporated well into other features. For example, imagine a mission traversing, let's say, through a UNSC facility in the middle of a Flood-infested city with heavy Flood fog, accompanied by a squad of hazmat marines that you were ordered to escort in order to, let's go crazy here and say, locate a local proto-grave mine and destroy it before it spreads any further. Imagine if, as you waded through this foggy, dark facility, the Marines started to get picked off from the darkness one by the Flood, undergoing really horrifying transformations like we saw in Halo 3 when they get taken and infected. I think dynamic features and experiences like this would not only make the Flood scarier, but if each Marine, let's say, had a specific name, and they got picked off in different orders at different times of the mission with every playthrough, the level would be so dynamic and would have a shit ton of replayability. I mean, obviously, I'm no game developer, and I have no idea how time-consuming or difficult that would be to make, probably quite high in both of those things. It's just some really cool food for thought, I guess. Another way that 343 can make the Flood more fun to fight, that plays in with making missions that revolve around them more fun too, is by increasing the speed of certain weapons used against them. Now, that sounds weird, and I'm going to try and explain it in the best way that I can. Basically, allow certain weapons to attack more in shorter spaces of time. For example, in Halo 1 and Halo 2, the shotgun had a large ammo capacity and could fire reasonably fast, and in Halo 2, the energy sword could swing essentially as fast as you could pull the trigger. In Halo 3, the sword was really slow, and the shotgun was also really slow, along with having literally half the ammo capacity, having a total of 6 shells before it could reload, as opposed to Halo 1 and Halo 2 having 12. The Flood are at their best when they're pouring towards you, and you're constantly firing at them or slashing them with a sword, mowing them down as they keep on coming. This is something that 343 needs to tap into, because it's something that, in my opinion, Halo 3 really didn't do so well, whereas Halo 1 and, to a sort of degree, Halo 2 definitely did. Also, while we're on the topic of weapons, I've got to mention the obvious. Bring back the flamethrower, and also, maybe add some new biohazard containment weapons. Hell, maybe even create variants of pre-existing weapons suited for it. Like, for example, a assault rifle that fires incendiary rounds, or an anti-personnel sniper rifle that, for the first time ever, actually makes the sniper rifle useful against the Flood. Make the anti-Flood weapon sandbox unique, like Halo 3 sort of tried to with the flamethrower, but take it to another level, go crazy with it. And to finish, invest in the pure forms. They are the one true way to give the Flood unique and differing enemies. The forms included in Halo 3 were a great start, but go even further. Have some pure forms be like mini-bosses, definitely not inspired by the Warden, that only show up once or twice. And you know what the best thing for this would be, for a mini-boss? The Flood Juggernaut. Bring that bad boy back and make it a proper enemy. I know fans, myself included, would absolutely love to fight that mythical creature that's found deep in Halo 2's coding. But that's just the start. Honestly, go crazy with pure forms. Make each one unique, and don't do what you did with the Prometheans, where each form is sort of just like a reskin of an elite or a grunt or a hunter. Make them truly unique and interesting to fight. And on that note, that's it for today, guys. Tomorrow I wanted to have a quite interesting and, in my opinion, quite necessary discussion about what Halo 6 can and needs to learn from, just bear with me on this one, Call of Duty World War II. Sounds like a weird video, sounds like something that you might not want to watch, but trust me, this video is something that needs to be made, and it has stuff in it that needs to be said, in my opinion. So I hope to see you guys then. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave all of your Flood suggestions in the comments, and I'll catch you tomorrow.